And we are back in Studio K with Orthe. How you guys feeling after that wonderful performance?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, feeling pretty good. That
Could've
thumbs
been
up, double thumbs up.
Could have been worse, Eli.
Could have been worse. I don't think it could have been better. I thought it was great.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, first things first, I want you all to introduce yourselves and what you play in the band.
I'm Jeffrey. I play one of the guitars and I sing in Orthe.
I am also Jeffrey. I also play the other guitar. I do not sing in Orthe.
I'm not Jeffrey. I'm Trevor. I play drums and I don't sing.
I'm Jimmy. I play bass. I don't sing or do anything cool, really, I guess.
Bass is pretty cool, man. You're killing it over there. Huh?
Plays a pretty mean bass.
Totally. All right, well, let's talk about what you guys played today. So two of those are not out, correct?
Yes, that is
One of
correct.
them is out
Yep.
on streaming platforms.
Mhm.
Let's talk about the one that is out. We can talk about that one first. Astral, right?
You want to take
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, sure.
Tell me about it.
So, I mean, it was pretty much, honestly, it's, I mean, obviously shoegaze is mostly about the guitar pedals and the sounds and the sonic landscapes that we can create. And so I bought this one on a whim. I just liked the name Astral Destiny, and it's a reverb pedal, and I was shopping for a reverb pedal anyways. And so I picked it up and I brought it home, and I think within the first 15 minutes I came up with that riff, and I was like, that's it.
That's the namesake too.
Like literally, yeah. Then I, literally stole the name right from them. Love you guys, Earthquaker Devices. One of my favorite. Yeah, shout out, love them. But yeah, that's pretty much how that song came about. Is literally just noodling with this new reverb pedal that I found, and I brought it to the band, and I was like, "What do you guys think of this?" And they're like, "Yep, that'll work."
That's great. So does equipment often inspire your sound or certain songs in a way?
A lot of times.
Yeah.
I've always been a big fan of guitar pedals, and that has definitely molded my sound. I usually won't, my amps and stuff like that, I just prefer a clean channel. I let all of my sound manipulation come from my pedals. So it's usually just clean guitar, clean amp, and then my effects pedals come up with everything. And yeah, it definitely dictates what I write. I mean, the amount of space you can leave between notes when you have a reverb or a delay on is entirely different than if you have it off. So
yeah, it's a whole new instrument with all that
it is.
stuff. Yeah,
it is.
When did both of you both have pretty impressive pedal boards right in front of you? When did you first start collecting your pedals?
I think I got my first pedal when I was maybe 13, so 23 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, it was I can't remember the brand, but it was called the Grunge. It was this little purple grunge pedal, and it was like just the gnarliest distortion sort of grungy tones, and I remember playing with it and just twisting the knobs, and I was like, this is my life now.
Yeah.
And ever since then, it's just, here we are 20 years later, and the pedals keep coming, and I've got more at home that I'm just like, all right, how can I get you onto here? How can I get you onto here? No, we've got enough, come on. And eventually you got to be like, we got enough colors to paint with over here, so you got to pick what you want and run with it, so.
How about you, Jeffrey?
Well, shoot, I'm pretty new to this whole guitar game here.
Yeah, you were telling me, yeah.
Yeah, I've been a drummer my whole life. That's what I've spent all my time doing, and I've played guitar as a hobby, kind of from, I would say, elementary school to now, and it's mostly just been like on an acoustic that someone let me borrow, or like an old beat up electric with a practice amp. And it was a mission of mine for a long time to be in a band writing shoegaze music. It's something that's like one of the most important forms of music in my life, and Jeff here and I have been talking about starting a band like this for a long time, and I was going to play drums, but I wanted to sing. And then just over a year ago, I quit drinking and doing hard drugs and got my life cleaned up, had some extra money, and finally decided to make that dream a reality. So I've only been building this guitar rig since November of 2022.
That's great.
Yeah.
You've come a long way since then. Yeah. And so when you were playing drums, what genre were you playing drums in?
It's all over the place. I mean, I started with a big background in punk, hardcore, prog metal. And when I went to school, I got super into funk, bebop jazz, 80s jazz fusion, and like Afro-Cuban styles of playing. And then from there, I play in a band with Jimmy here called Frogleg, and that's, I mean, I guess for lack of a better term, you could call it a jam band. We cater to that, but it's all over, We'll have one song that's funk and rock, the next one is bluegrass, the next one's like a bossa nova feel, so.
You were telling me before we went on air, we were talking about your college days and the improvisation ensemble that you were in. So has that kind of inspired your kind of being all over the place sonically in terms of your musicianship?
Yeah, I think something that Trevor could echo here too is I think it teaches you to listen more.
Yeah.
And I think that's really key to any good, especially drums and bass, but any good musician is just really listening to what's going on, letting your bias down about like genre. Like, I don't like this genre, so I'm just going to pretend like this isn't important. Yeah. And it's just listening and going, hey, this sounds good. What could make sense with this? And I think, that improvisation ensemble really helped that, and just playing around town, doing bluegrass gigs and folk gigs, stuff that I don't listen to, and it's new and introduced to me. And I think that was a big thing in school, is learning how to be a chameleon.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's huge. Cool. All right. Well, let's talk about the other songs. We kind of went on some tangents there.
Yeah.
But back to the set list. The first one, can you pronounce that for me?
Bupropion.
Bupropion.
Yes.
Tell me about that. What is that title?
So that song's a little on the nose, I think. Bupropion is the antidepressant that I take.
Oh, okay.
It's a generic for Wellbutrin. And I mean, listening to the lyrics of that song, I think when I did get sober, I finally used this band and writing as an outlet for a lot of the depression I was going through, and like serious addiction issues and mental issues. And it gave me an outlet to write about that depression and write about the panic attacks, the life changes. And so that song really is just about that. Like the first line, the colors drained out from the frame, I'm left with shades of black and gray. So that one I wrote after I got on medication, started to get the color brought back to my world. That was like I'm going to try to leave that in the past. I'm going to let that be the end of that.
Totally. I feel like there's so many great poetic lines in there, and it's the reverb kind of, I can't really hear what you're saying, but do you find that to be somewhat of a limitation of shoegaze, or do you kind of like that? You kind of have to listen really closely to hear exactly what you're saying.
I think it depends. I really enjoy, and I think everyone enjoys having lyrics that are relatable to them.
Yeah.
And tell a story that you can kind of relate to. I do like some bands doing lyrically, it's like really minimal, and it lets the listener kind of decide what the meaning is, and they get to attach something to it. I think I like the vocals getting lost in some effects.
Yeah.
It lets you kind of do that same thing. It lets you build an emotion in your head of how the song feels, and then you get to go back, and once you know the song, you know the vocal melody, and you finally read the lyrics, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so moving, or it speaks to me in some kind of way. And I've tried to just write lyrics that really explain the way that I feel, that I don't like talking about in conversation. So there's some really, really personal things, like vulnerable things in these lyrics. So I like that I get to kind of hide behind a wall of effects a little bit. Yeah,
totally. That's kind of like a metaphor in a way. You're like letting it out, but at the same time, it's not super clear.
Totally.
That's awesome. Cool. All right. The last one is called In Clarity, correct?
It's correct.
Great. And that one is new. Will you be releasing that one sometime soon?
Yeah, we're hoping to get that tracked and released as a single here. Cool. We've been trying to let it go through its little evolution naturally as we play it. I wrote that probably 3 weeks ago, something like that. And it was just one of those songs that kind of all came out at the same time. I have a tendency to get really manic and stay awake until the morning just working on something. I get obsessive over it. And that one came to life.
Cool. Awesome. Is there a new project in the works that these singles are going towards, or is that too far down the line right now? Or
we do have a full-length record's worth of material.
Great.
I think we've wanted to, with us being a new project and kind of figuring out how we want to sound, we've been letting it try to evolve as well naturally through rehearsing and playing. And once we feel comfy and everybody has their part tuned to themselves, we want to get in and record. We have a plan to do maybe 1 or 2 singles along the way. To be releasing stuff, but we're hoping to get a full-length album within the next year.
Great. And you already have kind of a demo tape or 4-song EP out. Will those songs also be on that new record? Re-recorded or?
It depends. As we're continuing to write and sort of find ourselves, as with most musicians, I feel like the first song I wrote was the very first song lost on there, and I'm slowly falling away from that one and moving towards and sort of gravitating towards the new songs and the new material. And I feel like with some of those songs on the demo, it was just like, hey, do you want to be a shoegaze band? Yeah, all right, let's write some stuff. And it was just kind of like thrown together so we could have like a jumping off point. And now that we've starting to find ourselves and the songs are evolving, I don't know. I don't know if they'll all. Yeah, it might just be a demo. We might rework them. We'll have to see. But like he said, mostly right now, I think we need to just focus on finding our sound and really diving into it. I mean, this being our second live set we've ever played, it's like we've got time to figure it out.
That's worth mentioning too. This is their second live performance, and that was fantastic for a second live performance.
Thank you.
And what a cool second live performance to have on air. That's
right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Totally. Before we move too far away from the 4-song EP, you guys made some cassettes for it, and you brought one for me today. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
But tell me about your decision to make cassettes for that EP.
It was very
pretty unique.
Very sporadic. I think I might have spearheaded that idea. It was just like, hey guys, I want to make cassettes. I'm going to just pay for them. I'm going to do it. I want them. Gio had taken a picture in the studio that he liked, and he sent me it, and I was like, that's it. That's what we're looking for. We're going to keep it nice and simple, but I've always just wanted cassette tapes. You know, I've been playing in bands for years. I've never had a cassette tape, and it was just kind of like, I don't care if we sell them. I don't care if they sit on my shelf. I want my own cassette tape, and if I have to pay $250 to get a stack of 50 tapes, so be it.
That's so great. And do you have a cassette player that you can play it on?
I do not.
Okay.
That's the best part.
That is the great part.
I have maybe 6 or 7 other cassettes from over the years from like friends, bands that are very close to me and stuff like that, and they haven't even been opened, and they just sit there, and
it's like a collector's item.
It is, you know. I look at them and I see the memories, and it's like I think about it, and it's like that's what I get what I need out of them. And one day I 100% will get a cassette player, and I will listen to those cassettes. I swear.
If you can find one, nice, awesome. Another really cool thing about this EP, I think, is the cover art for it. I'm a big fan of that. For those who haven't seen it, it's like a bunch of colors kind of like on a wall. Tell me about how that came to be.
My girlfriend has a like stained glass, kind of like mosaic glass lamp.
Okay.
And all the lights in her room were off one night, and it's like classic Twin Cities apartment beige off-white wall, you know? And it was really close to the wall, and it's circular, so like the light was coming off circularly onto the wall, and it made a cool angle. I took a picture of it with my phone kind of close up, and then it was late at night, and I was just laying in bed, and I started editing it and changing the saturation, and all of a sudden I had this picture, and I looked at it. It was like, hey, I think this could be something. This is pretty cool, huh? And there's a lot of bands that do that, especially in this genre. You look at these pictures, and it's like, I have no idea what I'm looking at, but I love it, and it somehow captures the sound of what I'm hearing. So.
It really does, yeah. I think especially this one really does capture the dreamy tonal landscape that you guys are painting with the music, so I think it's very appropriate. Will you go back to your girlfriend's room for the next release for another picture?
Oh man, there's actually a couple more that I really like. There's a black and white one that I really loved that we actually I think ended up using on the inside of the cassette.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
But no, I will say I think we're always with each other, even if it's a joke or not a joke, like, hey, next album cover right here. Yeah. So we're always on the hunt for that, because I feel like that's one of the hardest things. You're like, oh, it's just an album cover. When it comes time to do it, you're like, what are we going to do with this? What is right? Like, yeah. Cool.
All right. Well, I'm curious about the songwriting process, because shoegaze is so specific, it's so unique of a genre. Tell me about how you go about writing your songs. I know you kind of talked about Astral a little bit. Is it a consistent process? Is it different every time?
I would say that Jeff and I both have different processes.
Okay.
And I mean, I'm not sure about you, Jeff. There's 2 ways. So In Clarity was written, I was about to get in the shower, and just the line of the melody kind of got into my head, and I was like, okay, that's kind of sweet. And so I got onto my acoustic guitar, found it, recorded it, and then started just layering off of it, and it turned into something. The first half of those lyrics I had written for something else, and they fit better on this. Sometimes it's just noodling on the guitar with a bunch of effects and finding one cool line or a nice chord change and being like, that's interesting. And then that's when I get into my super manic state and sit at my computer for 10 hours and kind of like a puzzle piece, putting all the pieces together until we have a song.
And then for you, for the lyrics, does the music kind of inform what you're going to talk about lyrically?
Yeah, lyrics come last for me, especially as a drummer. I like getting the song, like the foundation of it. Right. And I think that as I do write, you know, the melody and the chord progression and the overall sound will dictate what I'm going to write about. I think I generally gravitate towards talking about my process with addiction or depression or love found, love lost, you know, classic stuff there. But yeah, I would say that always comes last, lyrics.
Okay, cool. Very cool. Yeah,
anything you want to add there?
No, my writing process is pretty much the same, except I don't usually preconceive ideas. I just sit down and start playing around with pedals and twisting things until I find something, and then I'm like, okay, what did we just do here? Let's go back and revisit that, turn that into something, and then basically record that, and then just continue to layer on top of it. The only thing I would say is our writing process is very like individual. Like Gio writes at his house, puts together a song, brings it to the group. I do the same thing. We don't like sit in a room and we're like, all right, guys, what do we do? Yeah. You know, I know a lot of bands write sort of collectively.
I think that's also kind of a myth, though. Sometimes I think that you have to have some kind of idea, concrete idea that's brought to the group.
Yeah, but
right.
And it's almost like I want to. I don't know, like I don't want to bring a half-finished idea to the group. I don't want to just come to the guys and be like, hey, I have this riff, what do we do with it? I want to have more. I want to have something solid, like a jumping off point, and then I fully expect that we're going to change and warp this and add things here and there once the group has their eyes on it, and it's like, okay, where do we want to run with this? But I definitely want to have like at least like an A-B section, maybe like a bridge or a C section we can go to, just, you know, we can rearrange it and figure out what we want to do. But usually the writing process is pretty solidarity, and we just write by ourselves, and then when we have something, it's like, hey guys, I got an idea, let me show you my idea, you know. Cool. And then we work on it from there. So
very cool. And Jeff, so do you have prior experience with shoegaze groups, or is this also your first?
This is my first shoegaze group.
Okay, cool. And how about all those pedals then? What have you used all those pedals for in the past?
So my last band that I was in, actually with Jeffrey here, he was the drummer, we were the Cokes. It was like a surf rock band. Oh, okay. And I played lead guitar, so it was a lot of just tremolo picking, delays, reverbs, manipulating, making noise, just all kinds of crazy stuff. And, you know, when I first started that project, I wasn't really a lead guitar player. I was even nervous about it, and our frontman Tom was like, hey, just make noise, just do something, just make noise, make chaos. And now after, you know, that introduction to, not introduction to the pedals, but introduction to that like freedom to just make chaos with the pedals, that's kind of what I think opened me up to the genre of shoegaze, and more like accepting of those sounds, because I was like, I know how to do some of those sounds now. Okay, cool. Like now, all right, let's see where this goes, you know.
So the progression goes surf rock, then shoegaze.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. I've been dying to get some surf rock into the studio. Okay, does the Cokes still exist?
Technically, we do. We just don't play. I mean, we
played in here.
Yeah.
You were telling me about that.
Yeah, we're on the wall right over there.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been on a bit of a hiatus. We kind of parted ways after a bunch of touring. We played 125 shows in 2017, and just we're kind of burnt out. And yeah, it was
every 3 days.
It was a crazy year for us. And after that, we just kind of, I personally needed a break. I fell in love with a girl on the tour, and I moved down to Texas. And so we kind of had, I don't want to say like a falling out, but more so everybody's pursuing other projects and doing other things. But we were never like, this band is done, we'll never play again. It's just kind of like, I don't know, we kind of just
fizzles out.
Yeah, we're just doing other things now. Everybody's interests have changed a little bit. So it's not to say that, I mean, I've been thinking about it a lot, like, hey, let's do like another show here soon. But yeah, the last show was October of last year, 2021 maybe, for my birthday show at Mortimer's. It was very cool. Nice. So...
Well, if you want a reunion, Studio K is a good place for a reunion. We would love to have you again. Cool. All right. Well, we're getting to time here. I want to get to my last couple questions.
Yeah.
Do you have any future merch drops, shows, or releases that you want to talk about?
Yeah. So as far as merch goes, we actually make all of our own shirts. We have screen printing materials, and we have handmade the screens, and we always have plans for that. I feel like talking about different runs of shirts and whatnot. As far as shows, after this, we'll be over at the Pillar Forum Cafe in Northeast Minneapolis. That'll be on Tuesday, July 18th. We will be at the Driftwood Char Bar on July 26th.
Great.
And I think that's about it for this month.
Yeah, there's a couple more coming up.
Yep.
We've got a schedule online. We've got some stuff on there, so you can check it
Yeah.
out.
Very cool. And for singles, do you have any planned dates as of now, or is it still
No
kind of up in
planned
the air?
dates yet.
Okay.
We do all of our own recording and mixing
Okay.
at our city sound space, so it kind of leaves us. We can procrastinate a lot and be
Yeah.
like, "Hey, we're gonna do that," and then you kind of just don't. But I think once we really start on something, we all like want it done.
Yeah.
So we work on it really hard, and I hope in clarity. I mean, within the next couple months, it'd be nice to get that out.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm glad we got the sneak peek here. Did you say
Yeah.
that was the debut of that
That is
song?
the debut of that song. Yeah.
So great. So great. I love it. All right. Last question for you. This is kind of a fun one. I ask it to every band that comes through. I want you to build your dream bill for yourselves. You get to be on it. You get 3 other bands on it. Dead or
Oh my
alive.
gosh.
This can be a team effort. Maybe you get 4 other bands. Each of you gets to choose a band.
Okay.
That's on the
Alive
bill.
or Dead?
Alive or Dead. Yep.
Alice in Chains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Alice in Chains.
Alice in Chains.
Yeah.
Jim.
You guys, I don't even know where to begin.
Yeah, that's a hard question.
It is a hard question.
I'd want to play with Dive.
Dive. Okay. Cool.
Oh man, I have to go with Whir. I would freak out to play a show with those guys.
Yeah. Totally.
And then to headline, it'd just be Wham.
Wham is headlining. That's awesome. Do you have a venue in mind?
For like a dream venue?
Dream
First
venue.
Avenue Main Room.
First
I've
Avenue.
been waiting my entire life. I've lived in the cities my whole life. I've played almost every other venue. One day, I will consider myself a successful musician when I can just step on that stage and be like, cool, that's it.
Let's do it.
Retirement
Yeah.
that day.
I want to play a stadium.
Madison Square Garden or something.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, Red Rocks
Red
Stadium.
Rocks
Yeah.
is a good one. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Maybe we can make it a tour. We can go to all these venues and put this lineup.
Shoegaze Stadium tour?
Yeah.
People like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard. All right, cool. Well, thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah,
Orthe.
thank you for having us.
You guys are fantastic. Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to kick it back to the booth for some more local music until 5 p.m. Please stick around for that. This is Radio K, Real College Radio.